Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. This is just a reminder that next week, episode 216 from the time you're hearing this, is going to be a live streamed episode. That episode is going to be special. It's going to be live stream on youtube.com/@MikeCheckWaifu. So if you're not subbed, go over to youtube.com/MikeCheckWaifu. Sub to the channel so you know when we go live. We're going live on Sunday, August 20th at 10:30 CDT. Sunday, August 20th at 10:30 CDT, we will be doing a live streamed episode of Mike Check Waifu. It's going to go up on regular podcasting services like normal, but we're just doing something a little bit different because 216 is a special number for us, so we figured we'd live stream it. So remember, 216, August 20th, live stream on youtube.com/@MikeCheckWaifu. Be a part of the show. Thank you.
You're now tuned into Mike Check Waifu. Polow and Telle. Is that you?
Mike check waifu. Mark, tell him, is that you?
It's me. Is that you though? What's 215? What's happening?
This is episode 215 of Mike Check Waifu. As always, this is brought to you by Mike Check Patreon. Shout out to the patreon.com/Mike Check Waifu, where you can support us at $1 or above and get early access to the video version of this podcast, to get access to our Patreon exclusive podcast, The After Story. This conversational podcast this week was so good. So good. We spent about an hour talking about moving up and blocking out. Y'all just have to find out exactly what that means when you listen to the episode. But that episode was gems all over the place. It was nice little updates. It was good. It was a good episode. So check out that. But that's exclusive to Patreon. Patreon.com/Mike Check Waifu. It's also brought to you by our Patreon producers. Shout out to the Patreon producers. Dre, the GOAT G, Johnny J. Lee Trade from Shogo Ha, Ked the Pro from Chaotic Culture Podcast, season 5 coming soon. Explicitly, Monique Williams and Nachi. Oh, and also Saphir. Thank y'all so much for producing this and many other episodes of the podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. We couldn't do this without y'all. Also, if you support us at Patreon at the Weeb tier or above, even because there's people that have done that in the past, you get your name in the credits down below, or the description of the video and the show notes. It's the first thing people see when they click the show notes. So thank y'all so much for supporting us. We truly appreciate y'all. It means the world to us. Make sure y'all go check out Shogo High and Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is a very special episode this week. For those of you, the uninitiated, for those of you unfamiliar with Mike Check Waifu, we cover seasonal anime. The podcast comes out every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. CDT. And we take topics from the seasonal anime discussions and we go off of that. This week is the not mid as in bad. I guess I got to clarify that nowadays. But this is the midpoint of the summer season, which means that summer season is halfway done so far, which is crazy to even think about because it seemed like the shit just started. But I digress. But we're going to give our grades. We're going to share the grades from our listeners over on I was about to say Twitter, over on x.com/Mike Check Waifu. Shout out to y'all that participated in the midterm grades this summer. I can't wait to talk about that. I got some interesting stuff. And we also rewatched My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu because shout out to Christian, good buddy of ours, who gave me he answered the call when I called for him to find out that episode where Telle was not feeling My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. And it was mostly because to take up for Telle, because that's my brother. And sometimes we're not always right. in our opinions. Like for me, for example, I had AOT in my top 10 at one point. That's a mistake. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're not always 100%, right? But this time, you know, he was fresh into Slice of Life. We decided to rewatch it to see how Telle felt. Now that episode, let me go to that episode. Now, I'm not going to go to that episode here, but I'm going to go find that number episode because it's very important context for what we're doing this week, because it's all happened on Twitter. So again, if you follow on X, sorry, the site formerly known as Twitter. I fucking hate it.
Oh, wow.
I guess if you still go to twitter.com, it still works the exact same. So whatever, I digress. But there it is. He said, shout out to him for finding this, but it was episode 57. So that was about almost 3 years ago. Episode 57 at 21:36, which is 21 minutes, 36 seconds, and 27:47. Now that was us discussing My Team Romantic Comedy Snafu, because Telle finally picked it up. And he was like, yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it all the way up into all the way up until like episode 7 is when it picked up for him. The show only has 13 episodes in season 1. Mm-hmm. So I think before we get into our midterm grades, okay, for those of you that joined us on the rewatch of My Team Romantic Comedy Snafu, shout out to you. Crystal says she didn't, and I'm gonna get to Crystal later, but she says she didn't join us on the rewatch because season 2 wasn't on Crunchyroll or High Dive.
It is not. Yeah,
which is fucking crazy. But obviously, we're gonna go to the site that shall not be named for season 2. Crystal, if you need the link to the site that shall not be named, it's safe. It's a site that we use constantly. Let me know. I'll give you the link to it. But you know what we know what we talking about when we say the site that shall not be named. Yeah. So we're gonna go to season 2 next week. But before we do that, season 1, Telle, how do you feel about what you said all those years back? Almost 2.5 years ago. Almost 3.
All right. So hear me out.
Now that you're more experienced with Slice of Life, I should say.
Hear me out. My reasoning has changed, but my thoughts stay the same.
Okay.
Because before I just didn't like it, right? This time I actually did enjoy a lot more from episode 1 through 7, but episode 7 is where it takes off for me, right? That's where it hits that like high point. It's like, it's just good the rest of the way through. But let me just hear me out when I tell you this. It's literally only one character from episode 1 through 7 that I hate. And it's fucking Yukina. I hate her episode 1 through 7. And I mean, she doesn't get much better until like the very end of that first season. But the reason I hate her is not because her character like arc is bad or she's written bad. I think realistically she's written for the way her character is supposed to be written. I hate her because I think that's how she was made to be written in that first 7. And it's a lot to do with like how pretentious and like how she has that she literally has that superiority complex in her mind. And I hate that as a character, especially for our MC to have to deal with. But as an anime, I actually think it's significantly better now, just to be completely honest. Like I really enjoy the anime. There's not much I can take away from that first 7 episodes. It just gets better as soon as we get into like more of that. Because look at it. Here it is. That first like 7 episodes is really like the introductory to those characters and kind of like what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
How things are going to progress, right?
Yeah.
And once you, what's that?
I said I'm gonna give you the floor. Sorry, because there's so much I want to say.
Yeah. No, I want you to interject when you feel it. But what I'm saying is like that first, like, I'm not even gonna say because it really wasn't the first. It was like, let's say the first 5 is really the introductory. They get into like some more school things after that, and then it's like, let's make this a little bit more personal. You know what I mean? When they start making it personal is where I feel like it gets a lot better. And they really start developing those characters and what happens in their actual lives instead of like the superficial parts of it. Really good though. Like I said, I think it's way better than my first watch. It's just that first watch was was not it. And now I just don't like Yukina in that first season. I know she gets better, but it's her.
It's in that fuck. It's so crazy because I still just I can't disagree with you more, and it's all on Yuki because of dude. It's okay. Where do I want to fucking start? Because what this show does extremely well, dude, is that it drops so many fucking gems that are so powerful and poignant. So that's why I think there's nothing more superior than watching this show dubbed, by the way. I have to say that the voices are phenomenal. Every voice is spectacular. Maybe, I love every voice. There's not a voice that I don't love, which is very rare for dubbed anime. Even for me when I used to be a dub lover back in the day, it's rare to find a dub show that has every voice that just feels great. Like everybody does a fantastic job in a role.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the voice acting is bad.
Yeah, no, of course I know
I'm
that.
I'm not saying that at all.
I know that. I just wanted to point that out because that's what stood out to me the absolute most. Because again, this is a show with so much dialogue. The dialogue is it's going, it's nonstop moving, and it's so poignant. And there's lines and quotes that are just said from the main character, from Yukino, to even the girl that can't even follow it well. I can't remember. Why can't I remember her name right now? I'm bugging. You know exactly what I'm talking about, though. The other main character.
What's her name? Akira or something like that?
Something like that. I gotta find it. I should have had it pulled up. I apologize. There it is.
Yui.
Yeah. So Yui she's phenomenal with where she goes. It's just what it is it's Hachiman, man, that carries this show so powerful. There was times, okay, and I wish I would have took actual notes, but there was an episode. I didn't take notes, but I took pictures of the episode. It was season 1, episode 12, and it was, where was it? It was 12 minutes and 21 seconds. There was bars in that particular episode that's just fuck. I wish I would have wrote it down. I feel so stupid for not doing that. I did this multiple times. I took a picture of the episode. Season 1, episode 9 was also very powerful. Like there's so many points in the show that just happens and you don't.
Was it the conversation with the sister? Because every conversation they had with the older sister, it was like hints. Yeah. It was like little hints, right?
Yes. I think you're right.
But there are bars talking about how, she's different. She's definitely different. And we're going down different routes, right? She's like the older sister, we even saying like, we're going down different routes too. You know what I mean? Right. Like she's closer to me than y'all, but we're going down different routes still.
There was always, what they did so well was there was always something deeper behind Yukino that was always, that you just didn't see. But it was hinted at because the first episode, I can completely understand what you mean about hating Yukino from the first episode because it was real snobby. It was like, yo, back the fuck up, sit down somewhere. You're the same grade as me. Like, you relax. You're just a fucking regular girl, right? That's how you would think. And then as the show continued to go on, even before episode 7, I think it was episode 3 even, you just sensed that was something more to her than that. And she would drop little small things like, hey, yeah, these girls used to do this to me. They used to bully me because of my family. They used to do this because of this. And it's not like she can go to her family or she can go to anybody else about it because when she did, they would use that as ammo against her. And I'm just like, yo, I get it. I completely understand. So instead of the route of trying to make friends or secluding myself from it, I'm going to protect myself from it by keeping everybody as far away from me as I possibly can, becoming that Ice Queen character. You know what I'm saying? And that shit I thought was always so fucking strong, man. So strong for her as a character that to see that wall break down because she's in obviously a new school and a different situation, that she's working through her own problems. Not only Hachiman isn't the only one with that complex. Right. And this is why the teacher is probably one of the best characters in the entire show. She's like fucking phenomenal. And she's not phenomenal for the way that you would think it. For one, she's a waifu outside the cigarette smoking. Like I love her. Oh my God. But the way she kind of, put everything into motion so smoothly in a way that's perfect for all 3 of these characters that I just couldn't believe at how well and how structured that this show was from the very beginning.
that teacher has no regard for them damn
Yes.
students. She just do it. It's like, y'all gonna do this.
And it's for a reason, and the reason
Right.
is very
Because
very
they're not
much
going to
needed.
do it if she don't force it on them in a sense. But once they get to it, it's like a great scenario. Now, not to cut you off, but I kind of wanted to touch on that whole Yukino's kind of like situation, right?
Yeah.
Because 100%, right? I don't care how wealthy you are. I don't care none of that. Getting bullied on and stuff like that is completely unacceptable.
Right.
I don't like bullies. Now I will also say this: people who don't take action also bother me almost as much as bullies, and I'm only going to say that in this regard because I understand everyone doesn't have the confidence to take action when being bullied. Right? That makes sense. Not everybody's going to be built for that. But you know that the ability to speak up, and what we know is that Yukino did not really have, like she could speak up, but she didn't have that backup. Right. Her family was like, "You got to solve it."
Right.
Everybody's telling her, "You got to solve it." So, but that doesn't happen. We don't really know that in the beginning, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I'm trying to view this without taking my mind too far in the future with everything I already know.
You don't need to though. You don't need to because
I understand that.
There's pieces of her that's put out on her sleeve, like the tennis match. That was before episode 7, well before episode 7 as well. Like there's so many times, even when she was meeting, I think it was episode 2.
Episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
Okay, episode 3 for that. And then the second episode is when she was meeting Yui in the classroom, and Yui was trying to talk to her, like her quote unquote friend, the popular girl, like, hey, you know, I'm about to go eat lunch with Yukino or whatever. And she was like kind of like cagey about it. She was trying to fit in with this popular crowd. And she's like, yo, if you gonna do, and she stood up for it. Like it was just always something inching us towards that thread line, that through line that made this way more than any other normal slice of life, because the normal slice of life would just be the school shit. It'd just be something else. Like it wouldn't be the exact same. And this, I swear to God, watching this show sent me down a rabbit hole of finding a slice of life. I watched one that was kind of supernatural that I'd never seen before, that came out in like 2012.
Polow went back.
Yeah, I went back. It was called Sankarea. It's about, I'm gonna talk about that when we wrapped up here, and it also made me want to go back and watch, what's it called? Hyouka? I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too, because shout out to Dad Needs to Talk, because he picked that up as well. But I rewatched that because what it reminded me of, what Team Romantic Comedy Snafu reminded me of, is that Adam Gibbs, which is the voice of Hachiman, the main character, phenomenal voice actor, like literally one of my all-time favorites. He did one of the best performances as Hachiman.
Best voice in that show, period, though.
100%. Like, and it's almost not even close. He's also the main character in Hyouka. So and you have it set to planning. I'm rewatching it again because this shit is fucking phenomenal. And it reminded me that I just want to hear him do these emotional roles again, because he's just really good at them. Even as Hachiman later on in the season, where he was making himself become the villain, which we know Hachiman is ever so good at doing, but we'll talk about that next week more so. But making himself the villain, man, that shit was like you get why he's doing it. It totally makes sense as to every plan that he executes and why he executed, because it gives people somebody else to rally around. Right. And with that, man, you just had to take the fall. And then everybody's around him, like, well, not really everybody's around him. The teacher's like, you don't really have to do that. So sick.
That gets demonstrated. That exact tactic gets demonstrated in episode 11 on the roof. Yep. And he's so good at the
delivery, bro.
The subverting the attention and redirecting. You know what I mean? Yep. He's so good at it because people expect his not involvement, because even though he's in this committee that helps solve problems, people expect more of the they expect what he says to have some meaning to it, but also to be like almost like disregardable. So when he says something that is so impactful that causes like a change and is like polarizing, people are like, okay, well, I mean, I got to do something now. Now.
Yeah, because who are you? Like, you are so no-named. Yep.
Who are you? And even when they were in like in the woods with the kids and doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't what he said, but it was the plan he set up. You know what I mean? It's always the plan with him, and he is expert at subverting that attention and saying this is what we need to do to accomplish the goal, and he does it, even if it's at a detriment to himself in a sense, you know what I mean? Because this stuff doesn't necessarily put him forward, and people do recognize, because I think that what's his name, the blonde haired dude.
Oh yeah, the popular guy, the Mr. Nice guy.
The blonde haired dude said, is this really your plan? This is really what you think you should have done? And yes, he's also upset about what Hachimon said, but he's also like, bro, you didn't have to do that.
Right.
This is putting all the weight on you. And that's one of the things that I think, and I'm not trying to get too far ahead, but that becomes one of the main topics of this anime, where it's like, he's not relying on anyone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's not relying on anyone. He tries to do it all himself, and everybody's just a part of his plan to make these things happen. It's kind of crazy, bro.
I remember what it was. Season 1, episode 9. I remember what that was. That was the point where he was noticing that Yui was trying to make it into a date when they went to go see the fireworks. And he was like, what he said to me that stood out to me the most was, I pride myself on being extremely perceptive. So like, what is she trying to do exactly? And he knows that his goal is to like not go there because of his whole aspect on life or perspective on life and how he wants to kind of get through this by just getting through it without any bothersome issues, without any drama, none of that. He just wanted to get through it. And he's like, yo, I'm very perceptive. Like, I know what you're doing, like, even though she doesn't know that he knows. And that's what I think what makes Hachiman one of our favorite characters of all time, because of the simple fact is he's not the clueless type. You know what I'm saying? It's very impressive.
And he doesn't even play clueless in a sense. You know what I mean? Like,
at all. Nope.
The only thing he plays is, I don't want to do it.
Yep.
The only thing he's playing that is, I really don't want to do it. He ain't playing. He for real. I don't want to do it. Yep. But if I got to, we gonna solve it, just so you know.
And it's still the best show of all times when it comes to inner monologue.
Oh yeah.
The mental thought process between characters and how it just expresses that, because what it does is it brings the music, it brings the atmosphere, it brings such poignant points that are like never said out loud, what you have felt before in your life as a young adolescent teen. Because I swear to God, I have. Everything that was brought up within his own mental was everything that I've thought about at one point in my life when I was 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Like, it was all shit that was here. I'm like, why do this? Why do that? You know, it's so good. It's literally the best of all times. And Hyouka does the same thing. It also does that same thing extremely well. That's why I do feel like Telle, it's dubbed. It is a little bit longer though, so it might have to be after we finish Snafu. But closing thoughts on My Team Romantic Comedy Season 1. It's still one of the best shows I've ever watched. I said that from the moment I've watched it way back, episode like 30 something. Kristen gave us that data too, but I can't remember. But it's still the best. There's a reason why it's in my top 10 easily. Closing thoughts for season 1, Telle.
I'm trying to think about season 1 is great. It is. I do think that for the average anime consumer, you gotta make it to like that episode 7, right? And that's just my perspective. But I think that once you got a few slices of life under your belt, this is easy. Because I really enjoyed it. Like even with all the gripes I had, like I said, with just one character, because nobody else got on my nerves. It's literally just that one character. Right. And I it's a great show. It's a great show. And I love when a slice of life starts off with almost this unassuming thing. Like Polow said, it's unassuming, but it drops those hints in there. Yep. It just drops them.
It's breadcrumbs.
And you'll pick up those crumbs. You'll pick them up when we get there. But once you start picking them up, bro, it's really not much to go back on. It's just there.
I watched it all in one day. That day that we tweeted about it, I watched it all that day. I put down Baldur's Gate 3. I turned it on and I did not stop watching. I just couldn't. I had to keep going. I didn't finish it till like 11 o'clock. I'm like, this is incredible. And then the next day I picked up to transition to Polow way, Sankarea, which is a supernatural slice of life that was very, very, very interesting. At first I wasn't going to watch it because it was a little too much. It was a little too much. Yeah. And it's supernatural in a slice of life way.
Like Inspector kind of way?
No. Okay. So the show is about a kid who's obsessed with zombies. He says, I don't give a fuck about no real girls. I want a zombie girlfriend. And that's pretty much his, like, he's movies, fucking magazines. His room is decked out in zombie filled shit. It's crazy. His name is Hyouka. It's crazy. So one day his cat gets hit by a truck. Okay. His cat gets hit by a truck and his cat is like his best friend because to everybody else, he has like two other like human friends, but his best friend was this cat. And his cat gets hit by the truck. When the cat gets hit by the truck, he remembers that his grandfather had this book that had like these old texts to it that looks like it was something that you can use to, like, I don't know, maybe bring somebody back from the dead. It was like a zombie-fied book or elixir that you can craft that he was working on. He started working on this elixir, and while he was working on this elixir in this abandoned bowling alley, he sees this girl like come up to this well. She goes up to this well that's like down in this abandoned building, and she screams into the well. When she screams into the well, she screams just a bunch of confessions. Fast forward to her life, she's just this rich girl who's troubled by her life because her father literally controls everything about her life. Now, this is all episode 1 stuff, so I'm gonna spoil it for the people who haven't seen it. This show came out in 2012, so I mean, forgive me if you want to watch Sankarea, but it's going to be spoils for episode 1. When she screams into the well, she's just like talking about how her father is just weird and creepy and she's not loving it anymore and she's not liking his life. Hyouka catches her screaming into this well. She screams as she's screaming the most craziest confession ever. She screams that, Father, it's not okay for you to take nude pictures of me on my birthday every year. And he hears that and he drops his cup and she notices him in the window and he's like, what did I just hear? And she's like, no, please tell me you didn't hear that, blah, 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 blah. So he brings her up to the bowling alley and they're talking about stuff. And she just basically confesses to him that her father is a fucking creep. Like, he's obsessed with her. And when you watch the show, you find out exactly how he's obsessed with her and why he's obsessed with her. He's a germaphobe that who lost his wife, which is her real mother, when she was he's a pedophile. He's essentially a pedophile because he met her when he was 19 and his wife was 15. It's just bad. Fast forward, he's working on his potion with this girl now in this abandoned bowling alley, and they meet each other like every night. She sneaks away from home and they meet each other every night. He gets this potion and they put a mixture in it and brings the cat back to life. Like, the cat is now a zombie. And fast forward again, the girl makes her way back home and her father catches her like coming up from the abandoned bowling alley with this guy, and he fucking flips out and he fucking chases her, and she's like, you always ruined my life. You ruined every friend that I've ever had. And she runs away from home, basically. And as she's running away from home, he chases her across this cliff and she falls off the fucking cliff and die. And he lost her. But what Hyouka didn't know is that she took a little bit of the potion that they created for herself to try to kill herself because she was tired of this life with her fucking sadistic, crazy, psychopathic father. And it didn't work. But when she died, she came back to life because she drank some of the potion. So then she becomes a zombie, and then a whole bunch of shit ensues, and it's fucking crazy. The the show was left off on a cliffhanger. It was supposed to get a season 2, but it isn't. It came out in 2012. I guess it got canceled or something like that. The studio that did it was, I don't think is no longer Studio Dean. No, Studio Dean is still around. It's interesting that it didn't get a continuation, but it was a very interesting show. Like, I watched the whole thing also in a day. Like, the day after my team romantic comedy Snafu, I watched 12 episodes of this, and it was pretty good, but it takes a while to get used to it because I wanted to turn it off about 4 times by the time I got to episode 3 because of the context and the subject matter that was happening. Yeah. And it ended up being not too bad, though. Not too bad. Yeah.
As soon as you mentioned that dad, I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to watch this.
Yeah, shit is not cool. It's not cool at all.
That concept seems crazy.
It is. It was a very unique show. I'll say that because now after she becomes a zombie, his goal, the Furuya's main goal was to figure out a way to preserve her body because everything that happens as you're a zombie, you still decompose. So he's trying to find ways to stop her, to slow down her decomposition process and make sure she can live a normal life. She ended up living with him and they end up trying to find ways together to make her life like a normal girl because she never got to experience it because her father literally sheltered her and secluded her from anything normal girls normally did. And she was ready to go. She was ready to kill herself because of it. And it's dark. It's dark, but it's also very funny. It's ecchi as hell. So, if you're not into ecchi, you probably won't like this. Nudity and all. So just be wary of that.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. And then for some reason after that, like I said, after I picked up my team romantic comedy Snafu, it made me want to watch Hyouka. Hyouka, I think. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, but it was a show that I remember loving absolutely nothing. Also came out in 2012 in the spring season. And I'm like, I watched episode 1 and I'm like, oh my God, this shit is, for one, it's beautiful. For 2, it's Adam Gibbs that is the main character. Same concept as my team romantic comedy Snafu. Somebody who's an energy conservative who just tries to conserve as much energy as possible. That's all he does. So if there's something that he has to do, he tries to find the shortest path to doing it, the easiest way of doing it, no matter what it is. And he's a genius. He's super hyper intelligent in a way that's unbelievable. Kind of like Hachiman. Like it's almost parallel, 1-to-1 parallel between the 2 characters, with a completely different story, but it's fucking phenomenal. It's a great show. I already seen it, but I'm rewatching it again. I watched episode 1. It's 22 episodes for this one. So it's a little bit longer, but I can't wait to continue to watch it because it's fire. Another dub that's spectacular, mostly because of Adam Gibbs.
Yeah. So I didn't watch a ton of Slice of Life, but I did watch Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. Okay,
so from what, last season or 2 seasons ago?
It's season 2. But yeah.
Oh.
So this is just kind of like my halfway point catch up on Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. It has what did it have? I think I saw like it had an 8.9. No, okay, no, it's not. It's a 76 score. I agree with that.
7.6.
That's pretty accurate. It's beautiful. I love the art style for this. It's very soft, very almost like hand drawn with pastel kind of colors. So it is obviously geared towards a more feminine audience.
Right. The shoujo.
But yeah. But so this season, so the first season they didn't really have they had antagonist, but nothing that seemed like truly ominous. This season,
they got a demon.
They got a demon on there. He seems like a demon. But it's almost one of those things that makes sense. And I'm gonna just say this without trying to spoil too much. But in this world, I've already explained it before, but in this world, fairies are essentially slaves. If you take their wings, you basically have their heart. If you crush their wings, they die. Our main character, she has a fairy that she's had since the beginning, who she has had his wings, but she gave his wing back. Someone stole it, and she had to go work for someone in order to get that wing back. She got that wing back, gave him his freedom. But this other fairy is out killing humans and taking the fairy wings back.
Damn.
And he is the antagonist, but hear me out. If freeing slaves don't ever sound bad to me. It's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show if you with it. But there's so much of it that feels like downtime. And that's where it feels like it doesn't keep your attention, is when it gets into the downtime. Because it's almost also like a baking show or a cooking show. But the cooking doesn't draw enough attention. Like it's not Shokugeki no Soma kind of flamboyant and exuberant when they're doing the cooking and stuff like that. Yeah. It's more of a slow process. So that part actually brings it down, and it sucks because that's a main focal point of the show.
Damn.
And it could just be my mindset around it, but that's one of the weakest points about the show, and that's what it's about. It's about being a sugar apple refiner and making a silver sugar so you can make these beautiful sugar sculptures. And it's actually probably the most boring part about the show. But otherwise, I can see why I got a 76%, because that's about where I would put it. Maybe a little bit lower, actually, like a 72 or exactly a 70. But it's not a bad show. It's just, I can see why for a shoujo, it can't draw too much of a male crowd, because
it's not made for us, to be fair.
Yeah, it doesn't have that enough wow factor for us guys.
Man, that's what it is. All right, so let's move on to the main topic now. Sorry to take so long on other stuff, but before we get to the main topic, but this is important. Okay, this is the midpoint summer anime season, and this time I did the season very, very different. Because after our conversation, well, even before our conversation, I chose to do this anyway. I chose to pick certain shows out and binge them later, okay? And then still watch some stuff, the important stuff week to week. Obviously, the most important being Jobless Reincarnation, Bleach, Rent a Girlfriend, returning stuff that I know I was gonna watch, right? But there's so much other stuff that I have in the binge queue because I want to see how much more I would enjoy it. For example, Bungo Stray Dog season 5, that's in the binge queue. Masamune Kun's Revenge season 2, that's in the binge queue. Shout out to that being simul-dub, by the way. That's fire. But that's definitely in the binge queue because I want to rewatch season 1 and then go into season 2. My Happy Marriage was one that I had in the binge queue. I'm going to watch it, but I wanted to do it binged. I didn't want to watch it week to week. That's just how I wanted it. And then there's a few others like actually that's it. So I got in the binge queue. But again, most of my stuff was dropped. So my season is kind of light this summer season. So for me to give a grade, I'm still going to give a grade, obviously, because that's what we do. It's kind of our job right now. But for me to give a grade, it's going to be weighted in a way that's not fair. And the reason why I asked you for the last season grades, Telle, because last season we gave spring season a B. Is this as good as that from my perspective? I don't know. It depends on how you cue it up. You gotta. This is the part that I wanted to bring up. Depends on how you cue it up, because if you cue it up from my perspective, I got Jobless Reincarnation, I got Bleach, I got Rent a Girlfriend that's killing it, I got JJK, I got there's so much shit that I have that is just fucking owning. My sleeper, My Dreaming Boy is a Realist is fucking phenomenal. Like even the few shit that I did continue to watch while they're middle of the road. Liar Liar, middle of the road. Fucking Classroom of Heroes, middle of the road. Am I Actually Strong is teetering above middle of the road, but it keeps getting delayed, which pisses me off. My Tiny Senpai is slow. I'm slowly starting to fall off of that wagon. The Girl That Forgot Her Glasses, like there's a lot of shows that's like leaning, but the shows that are returning that are here right now, they're just stacked, man. And this is not counting My Happy Marriage, because apparently that's all the rave on Twitter right now. Like is My Happy Marriage, and I'm not watching Link Click right now. Like that's also in the binge queue. I almost forgot to mention that. So there's so much that I'll probably take this to maybe a B even already for me if I was to go there.
So I was looking at a couple different things.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just about to say, how do you plan on rating the season? Because are you doing mostly returning or are we talking mostly new?
So when I was looking at this season, I do want to talk about some returning stuff, but I also want to kind of single out the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying I want to single out the new stuff because I know basically all the returning stuff for me is A's. Everything I'm watching that's returning for the most part is an A. With the exception of like Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. But just about everything else, like Jobless Reincarnation, come on, man, that's an A. JJK, A. Bleach, A+, that's 120%.
Yes.
But then you throw in stuff like, let's say, if we talk about just what came out this season, Zom 100, I feel like is probably one of the only A's outside of, I think Dream Boy Realist could be between like a B or A.
Mm-hmm. B+ probably.
Yeah, but realistically for new stuff for this season, I don't really see anything outside of like Zom 100 that's a guaranteed A.
But count how many A's you just named, Teliano.
All them A's for this season. I think if we include them into this season on top of everything, the season is like either a high C or a B.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's so hard to gauge because last season new stuff was so much better outside of, my home hero bullshit like that was better. The new stuff was better than what we get now, but
the returning stuff is through the roof.
It's weighted. It's heavily weighted on returning stuff. Okay, before we give our final grades, I'm gonna give you time to marinate on it real quick. I just want to bring in some of our friends over on x.com/MikeCheckWaifu. Shout out to TCB NYC. He was the first one to respond. He said, "What surprised me, honestly, the only show I really say that was for has been the level 1 Demon Lord, which is one none of us touched, by the way. So that's dope. That is actually one that we haven't watched." But he said, aside from that, My Happy Marriage, Zom 100, Undead Murder Farce is carrying my season. JJK season.
Undead Murder Farce.
Exactly. JJK season 2 is JJK season 2. It was going to deliver to me regardless. And now that I'm catching up on it. He says, so for his score, he gives it a low B, like a B-, maybe C+. The 3 shows that I'm liking are real good, top of my season, really. But everything else is below is just fine. I'm not watching all these sequels either, so maybe that heat ain't reaching me the way it is for y'all, which is obviously the case. Yeah. So TCB is on to something because Undead Murder Farce, Zom 100, My Happy Marriage seems to be doing really well with everybody. It's something that we're benching later. And then this level 1 Demon Lord, I looked at it. Did not pique my interest at all. I'm like, I'm not fucking touching that with a 10-foot pole. But I definitely trust his take for one. And I'm gonna be honest with you, after looking at all the grades, I'm probably with him and Crystal. B- for me personally.
And that's where I'm stuck at, right? Because I just looked at it again. Undead Murder Farce is definitely a B. Fire. And I actually feel like it could definitely hit an A if it trends upward, like keeping this kind of energy and trend upward, it could actually be better.
But like Bungo, Stray Dogs, My Happy Marriage could be 2 shows that take this fucking season to an A for us. You know what I'm saying? So
I looked at Am I Actually the Strongest? I think that's like a high C to like low B.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Dream Boy is a realist. That's a high B to a A.
Right.
So some stuff in here. Rent a Girlfriend this is probably one of the best seasons. This is probably, in my opinion, so far the best season of Rent a Girlfriend so far.
100%.
That's like an A so far for me. If the lowest possible I can give is like an A-. It's an A for me though. I'm thinking like just a solid B, like a solid, right? I'm gonna give it right in the middle because the things that are C's are either like C's or low C's.
I was just gonna say.
But these B's and A's are A's and B.
You see what I'm saying? See, now you came around because at first you was like, no. When I was talking about, is it just as good as last season? Because we both gave last season a B for validated reasons, I do believe. Because last season was fire. Last season was just a good season of anime, to be honest. Like it was so good. So I mean, we're leaning towards the same score, even though it's in a different way. It's very much in a different way. Crystal, she says, overall, I give it about a B/B minus. My Happy Marriage is my favorite. My surprise is Saint Celia and Pastor Lawrence. Really? That's interesting. And she said, my sleeper, you already know how I feel about that. She said it's she said it's pretty, but you know, it's just wholesome. It's a wholesome, easy watch. Which is the girl out that forgot her glasses is her sleeper.
Sadly, that's one of my most disappointing right now. And I'm only saying that because it's not that I hate it, because I really don't hate it. It's just the tropes they're getting played. It's
getting played, bro. Straight up getting played. So I give that about a C, because Crystal's right. It's an easy watch. I turn it on and I don't look at my phone. I don't get distracted by anything else. Like, for instance, Liar Liar this week, I got distracted so much. It was hard for me to watch this episode, and I like that show. Distracted. I got super distracted, and I like the show. The end got way better, but the beginning of it was way slower.
I was actually, oddly enough, in the zone on Liar Liar this week.
Yeah. The last, what I would say, 8 minutes or so of it, when they were talking about that new game that they're about to play, crazy. That's just dope.
And I loved it because it was like planning phase, but hear me out. And it could have been the fact that they just had way more conversation in this episode.
Yeah.
And they do have a lot of dialogue in this anime in general.
Always, yeah.
But it was because they were outside of the game and they just had a ton of dialogue that felt progressive. Mm-hmm. And I was rocking with it this episode. This is a better episode. I know that's weird.
The beginning was silly because of the whole getting washed up thing. It was weird, but other than that, yeah, I agree. And then she says, apology for not joining you on your rewatch after not finding season 2. I didn't want to commit. I really wish you would still commit. Just watch season 1. And then, like I said, we got the link for you for my Snafu 2. And she was going to watch it dub too, which is also fire because Crystal don't do dub ever. You have to watch this dub though, because I got a feeling you would enjoy it so much. Just the story of it in general. So I want Crystal to really join us on that. That was like a big one for me. But shout out to the homie Black Damzilla. We haven't heard from him in a minute. He says, I found a lot of surprises at sleepers outside of the heavy hitters who have really been carrying their weight. Absolutely true. He says, my Happy Marriage, dude, the very first person to ever say anything about Baki, which blew my fucking mind because Baki.
Yeah, they did have a new season, didn't they?
They did have a new season. Baki fucking stinks, Black Damsel. I'm sorry, bro. It's just one where it's universally it's garbage to us, but I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm so happy somebody enjoying it. And he says,
for the story.
No, you definitely not watching Baki for no damn story. And he says Oku, the Inner Chambers, is having a good one too. Oku look interesting, but he posted pictures of Jobless Reincarnation and Zom 100. Obviously, the heavy hitters is what he mentioned. JJK, Bleach fucking destroying this week. Let's see here. He also linked to his original tweet. He tweeted 5 days ago. He sees all my slow sleeper shows, in parentheses, no prior knowledge. It's crazy how many people don't know what we mean by when we say sleepers. So I'm glad he specified that. Have not disappointed. I'm curious why Noir Sensuality is rated MA outside of a few dick jokes. Oh, it's a mecha. I'm like, what the fuck kind of show are you into, Black Damsel?
I was supposed to watch that, and I didn't turn it on. I knew you wasn't going to watch mecha, and I think I did add that to my list. I was going to watch it, and I decided not. Interesting.
Okay, and we got another one from the homie Huey TJ. What up, Huey? He says, so far B+. My main 4 plus My Happy Marriage and Horimiya, which I hear has also been fire, which is I couldn't agree more. Probably. I just decided to binge that one later as well. Nothing has been breathtaking yet, but I do appreciate the aesthetics and diversity. I have a feeling that it will pick up more in the second half. And he also links to those pictures. Bleach, JJK, Zom 100.
So I have a question, actually.
I have an answer. What's up?
We were talking about the returning shows, especially like some of the Heat, right?
Yeah.
For the shows that we are considering Heat, so let's just go new one. Dreaming Boy is a realist. We're going to consider that one Heat. Zom 100, we considering that one Heat, right?
Yes.
How are you feeling on those? Like in terms of like, is it actually like gassing? Is it actually good? Is it actually, is it more than what we expected? Especially for like Zom 100 because it got hype. before we started watching it. Do you think it's living up to that?
To the hype of Twitter, it never could live up to the hype of Twitter, because the hype of Twitter would literally have you thinking it's the next thing. It's the best thing since Jesus.
Right.
So no, but I don't base my expectations off Twitter anymore. So, or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Zom though is pleasant. It's definitely a pleasant surprise, especially with his most recent episode. I will say it's definitely a pleasant surprise. Not as, again, it won't live up to Twitter's expectations ever. But again, I got a feeling that all the shows that I'm putting on the binge list will literally take the season so far up. Like Masamune-kun, the fact that I'm not even touching that is crazy to me. Like, it's one of my favorite slice of lives of all time, and it's just not here. You know what I'm saying? But it's here. So I got to put everything in perspective. But you talk about new stuff. As far as new stuff, Dream Boy is a realist. A big surprise, to be honest. I did not think it was going to be as good as it is, even though it's very much hated throughout the AniList community, which I still can't fathom. Purists, I guess, whatever. It's crazy. But stuff like Reign of the Seven Spellblades, I like it. This is one I definitely didn't expect to be as good as it actually is, but.
And I know we didn't say episode of the week, but Reign of the Seven Spellblades got it for me.
Might be on, yeah.
That was a phenomenal episode, especially when it got to like the latter end, and I was like, this is where we going, and I loved it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna go ahead and give my episode of the week to Zom, because everything about that episode was sick. I loved it. Yeah. It was beautiful. It definitely had a My Hero influence, which is hilarious. But let's move on. So Rob, aka Father of Vash, the host of Dad Needs to Talk podcast. Make sure you check out Dad Needs to Talk podcast. A very fire solo show. But he said it's a B+ for me. My Happy Marriage and Oku of the Inner Chambers are great surprises, which is interesting. He said, I also decided to hold off on many others I'm enjoying so that I can binge them, especially the ones with dubs already. With dubs already going. As my family life gets busier, I appreciate the dubs even more. I be trying to tell people, man. I did
want to say Sugar Apple Fairy Tale does have dub. It's not a simul dub, but I think they're on like episode 3 for the dub, and their voice acting is actually on point, man.
Yeah.
Even the like side characters that I give no cares about, they actually sound great.
Bruh, I be trying to tell people you cannot have this dub versus sub conversation, and you can't have that conversation no more. The conversation is null and void because these actors are showing out. They're talented. They're some of the best in the biz, to be honest. They definitely keep up. It needs to happen faster and more often, in my opinion. While I do believe they're going as fast as they possibly can, because you can't use all the same people for the same stuff, I still think it's that they're very talented. He says
chemistry too,
Absolutely, chemistry is huge. Side note, but I started watching Hyouka because Polow added it to his rewatch list, and I will probably be done with it by the time y'all record. But it's been really good. This is a great reason why you follow others on AniList, because they might randomly put stuff on your radar. AniList.co/user/PolowBornFly. AniList.co/user/King Telliano. Just follow us, man. You'll see what we're watching and when we watch them, especially me. I am very, very, very adamant about making sure as I'm watching them, I update instantly.
I've been getting better at it too. I've been doing that lately.
Yeah, so you'll see when I'm putting something on my radar and when I'm adding it and I'm watching it. It's very, very good thing to have. So make sure you follow us there. It's a really good app, to be honest. It probably makes doing this show way easier because we always have it up on one of our monitors.
I got it. Yep.
Like it's always going to be up. But Rob J chimes in and says, I'm going to give this season a solid B. My real sleeper, because his fake one, I guess, was the vending machine. But he says, my real sleeper anime was Dreamer Boy is a Realist. I said on Shogo High, I've really been enjoying Wataru as a main character. Me too. Gives me Hachiman vibes. But My Happy Marriage, Undead Murder Farce, and Seven Spellblades surprised me. Loving those 3. Same, man. Same. I'm going to give Spellblades a solid B. I'm going to give Undead Murder Farce probably a B as well. It's same level.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you feeling too?
Yeah, I feel like Undead Murder Farce could hit an A, just like an A-. But it has to continue this kind of motion.
Yes, it has to go.
Cause I love this Lupin action, bro.
Yeah.
I love.
It's fire. It's fire.
It's crazy.
It's fire. Mic check waifu. So salute to anyone who's still watching Venom Machine. Not salute to that. Don't waste your time. Stop. Turn it off. I think y'all need to go ahead and tap into My Happy Marriage. I know y'all said y'all were going to wait to binge, but man, this week to week conversation has been good. At least catch up and then decide from there. I can't do that because for one, I'm not on, again, we talked about this on After Story, Rob, so you're going to hear this when you get a chance to listen to the latest episode of After Story. But we can't, like, we don't, the social shit. Yeah. Like, I want to, like, when somebody tells me to watch something, I'm going to take that. Obviously, like Telle did it. Like everybody does it. Everybody tells me, suggests something to me. I'm going to take it. Now with My Happy Marriage, this is one I'm going to take because I wouldn't normally touch a sojo, right? Like I just wouldn't. But a lot of people told me to watch it, but without giving me their respect. Yeah, people respect like Rob J and others. A lot of people talking about it, but I'm not going to view their opinions of it because I want to go in as a virgin and watch it, for lack of a better words, obviously, and watch it fresh with no thoughts and conversations on it. I want to just go and binge it through, and then I'm going to give my full unadulterated thoughts on the show. That's just how I feel. It was a roundabout way of me saying I don't want to be tainted when I watch this fucking show. But go listen to the After Story podcast because that was a great conversation on what's going on with us. So you'll get it better. And if you haven't subscribed to Patreon, just toss $1 and take a listen. Anyway, yeah. So how you feeling about what Rob J said? B in the vending machine.
Oh, the vending machine? Nah, stop that.
You stopped it too?
Yeah. I tried.
You really did.
I did try. I tried.
I respect the hell out of you for that.
But it's actually so much worse than Reincarnated as a Sword that it's hard. I don't watch that. But yeah, B is solid. And I was actually just thinking about if we watched everything from this season,
we might be at an A, man. If it's as good as everybody's saying. Or at least I would be anyway. Because I got Masamune Kun Revenge, Bungo 5. Mm-hmm. Like I got so much that'll take this up. I even stopped watching Devil is a Part-Timer. I don't even know if that's good or not. I just have no idea.
It will be. It'll be entertaining at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. I watched 2 episodes and they were fantastic. They were so much better than the first part of season 2 that I can already tell it's going to be good. So I decided to binge that as well. So what it's looking like for Mic Check Waifu, I mean, we both at a B, huh?
Yeah. I know you said B-, but you going to a B?
Yeah, it's kind of impossible for me to be at B- with JJK, Bleach, Rent a Girlfriend, Reincarnated, or Jobless Reincarnation, German Boy is a realist.
I think that's a good.
Yeah, I got to be a flat B. I can't go no less than that. For a fact. All right. We're going to do spoiler talk this week.
What you want to spoil? Zom 100?
Yeah, I think we should.
Everybody already shared everything about what happened in Bleach, so we ain't got to talk about that.
Yeah, Bleach talk is canceled. We don't really talk about Bleach talk this week. We can talk about it next week though, for sure. So Zom 100, I think JJK we didn't have because that's taking a month fucking break for some reason. Damn, is that it? Jobless?
Yeah.
Which also
maybe
didn't have.
You want to talk about Rent a Girlfriend?
Yes, do Rent a Girlfriend instead. Zom 100, Rent a Girlfriend. Just those 2?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back after these. and welcome back to episode 215. Oh, I didn't talk about the fact that 216 is next week. Rest in pineapple. So well. Next week is 216. We're doing a live stream YouTube. You know what? I'm gonna put it at the beginning of the show. I'm gonna record a plug. I'm gonna put it at the beginning of the show. Okay. So we're about to spoil Zom 100.
Zom 100.
I almost forgot that fast. Till holy shit. Literally just said it before I pressed the record button. It's crazy.
So clearly is a phenomenal episode.
So it's such a more progression in this episode than it's been in a while. I mean, I guess there's always been progression, right? But it's been like not as much as progression as like going into where we going next. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and a lot happened. Yeah. In this episode, you know what I mean?
Big time.
As soon as the episode started, it kind of like conversationally, it set a mindset for our characters.
Yeah.
Right. Our characters started up playing zombie shooting games in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. Oh, great. Irony. It's ridiculous. It's funny, right? But then we go to the point of like, yeah, you got this list, but you still adding stuff to the list. And our main character, he sees his best friend, dye his hair blonde. If I'm gonna be a comic, then I need to do this. And he hears him talking about his goals, and he transitions to that whole, I need to find out my childhood dream and live it. You know what I mean? And that sets it sets up what we're gonna do next. Which I thought was dope, because where we ended up going was, to me, off the wall.
Yeah.
This also makes me feel like you need to watch the Zom 100 movie, because it was actually kind of funny how this was nothing. This was nothing like the movie at all. And it actually made me enjoy the movie that much more.
Interesting.
Because it's completely different. It's similar, but different. But yeah, bro, this was fire. Basically, I mean, how'd you feel about that opening sequence kind of part?
So the opening sequence with him like reminiscing on him being a child hero, helping his friend, escape from the bullies or whatever, was fire. And it's all based off the episode last or 2 weeks ago, because I think we had a break from Zom, right? From 2 weeks ago, when the girl was talking about her actual dream and how she wanted to always follow it, right? So that stuck with him, which is cool to see, because it seemed like he just didn't, like, what I noticed about the show is that just fucking people just die. Like anytime you see a character that's kind of like sidey, like a side character, they pretty much are going to die. If you ain't seen them in the intro of the show, they're dead. They're going to die, which is whack to even know is going to happen, because it kind of takes away the surprise. So that part I kind of don't enjoy about the show, is because it's kind of predictable in that aspect. But the other parts of it, I do, in the sense of our main character is actually getting some semblance of purpose, of goal within the show. Because that was the only downfall I would say that I had with watching Zom 100 was, where's this going? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel like, I guess it was just on to be on as entertainment, which is always fine, But like I kind of wanted more. Even High School of the Dead had more. Like they had a goal, and that show was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like we were missing some pieces, and I finally think we got that piece, and that's now we have a goal to go see my mom, to go show my parents that I'm safe. It was sweet.
This is kind of off topic, but when you said High School of the Dead was ridiculous, what scene? Do you know what scene I thought about?
Was it the sniper?
Okay.
It's always a sniper's thing. Yeah.
That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. But yes, right? So we know that his family is in Gunma, which is like super remote. Yeah. Yeah, it's the country. It's remote. A lot of people aren't going to be there. So hopefully his family is intact. And him realizing, that he wanted to live his dream, he had been doing research, and it took him to the aquarium.
Yeah, that was fire.
So it makes a lot of sense,
100%.
Because obviously chainmail or some kind of suit will prevent piercing, but it doesn't prevent the pressure. So when he got there and got the suit and everything, it was a super cool it was very quick, first off, that he had this suit. But how he utilized that moment, right? And it's great. How he utilized the moment was great.
Yeah, because super genius. Because if you have on chainmail, regular human teeth ain't getting through that shit. So it's not like it's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, exactly. Not at all. Even if the limitations of being able to control your own power and they just bite super hard now.
Right.
The reality is that, yeah, it's still, you're not getting through it. It's going to break your teeth before anything.
For sure.
But him defending the people as, you know, they get into the aquarium. The funny thing about it is that the girl is right. She is 100% right.
100% right.
But as a human being, come on, man. Like, yes, and it gives you that, and I can't remember what that test is, but it's almost like that trolley test. But it's like, yes, you want to take care of the people who matter to you first. But as a person who actually cares about the survival of people, right, it's hard to say no to people when you have a chance to save them. It's hard. Because you don't want to see people die. That's a whole other trauma you got to live. Let's be real. That's a trauma. I close the door on people.
Yeah. Yep. Or throw somebody backwards so they get caught first before you do. Like that little girl tried to do to our one of our main characters. Straight up demon. Like, how dare you? You know, like it's what I think that when you pointed out the whole trolley problem with this episode, I love the dynamic between her just kind of like spitting facts, like nothing she's saying is wrong, and then them being the devil's advocate to that by just being, you know what I'm saying? Because now, guess what? You're in a situation to where it's not advantageous for them to save you. Everybody's safe right now. The zombies can eat them and they can escape and they can be good. But because somebody decided to go against your, I guess, thought process, you are alive right now.
And she was even accepting.
Yeah, exactly.
Her defeat, more or less.
Exactly. So the fact that it was her ass on the line in that particular situation opened up character development for her, which I enjoyed. And she gave out her number. Okay. Then her giving out her number was fire. Like, this whole episode was fire. But my absolute favorite thing about this entire episode was the fucking animation. Why did it show out like this? Like Bug Bug Films. This is the very first thing that they've ever done. Like solo. They killing this shit right now. I mean, they've been killing it since the beginning, to be honest, to be fair. But this is unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah, and you think about how gruesome this show actually is, and the fact that they mixed it in with the like painting looking colors.
Yeah,
this show could be very bloody and gruesome, but the way they do it actually accentuates the fun that they're trying to have in this show. Yeah. And you can tell they're definitely having fun with the animation.
100%.
They took off.
100%.
Like I feel like even when the door got rammed, I feel like I saw it kind of like deform in when they hit, and it just happened fast. It was beautiful. I was like, yo, this is good. Gorgeous.
Like everything about it was gorgeous. But my question to you though is, what do you think about animals being affected by this? The same way humans are.
It makes sense for some animals, right? But the issue I have is specifically the fact that like animals being infected means that there's almost no escape for humans, because that would mean like things like rats, which we really can't get away from if they were zombie rats, and then crows or birds in general. You can't get away from it. They're zombies. So
true.
That's a whole different issue, because birds die every day, bro.
They die every day, B.
I'm saying birds die every day by the flocks, and now you got to worry about them getting you. It's a wrap. But I don't, you know, it's such a hard topic to cover because I don't know how they're gonna tackle it yet.
Yeah, because it was interesting, the whole concept. Even the fucking fish that, like the fact that the shark, I don't understand anything about what that was. Like the shark ate the humans and the leg, so that means the shark can control the legs that he ate of the humans. Like that shit didn't make no sense to me. But
maybe it's like a zombie hive mind.
That's where I was gonna go next. Like maybe it's that, because nothing else about it makes sense. Nothing else about what we saw made any semblance of sense, which would be cool if it's a zombie hive mind thing. But again, you're not supposed to look at this. This show is pure entertainment, which it is so entertaining. Like every time I turn it on, I can't look away. Like it goes by so fast too. It's another one of those shows that you watch. Some shows feel like you're watching it and you've watching it for fucking 12 hours. This one goes by so fast that you don't even notice that it's about to end until it just ends. I'm like, oh shit, fuck. It's already done, you know?
So, I do want to say this before we transition to the next thing we talk about. This is where the Zom 100 movie ends.
Interesting. Going to get his parents?
I don't even think it actually said that part. But I do think that now, especially after seeing that, is 100% worth watching because it's similar, but it's so different. And and hear me out. You know how we said this is fun. I actually feel like the movie is more fun to this point.
Oh, okay.
So I will 100% recommend watching it. And I think if you do watch it, we should talk about it on Patreon. Okay. Maybe because it's a live action or whatever. But yeah, 100% worth watching.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. I'm going to try to, I'm watching a lot this week though.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to do it. Because next week is the live episode. So I can't, it'll be the week after that probably. So yeah, we could do that. All right. Now moving on to fucking just
Rent a Girlfriend.
Yeah, Rent a Girlfriend. It's so much better than the show itself. Like this season itself is just better than the entire series within itself. Mm-hmm. Because it feels so much structure, and
that's not to take away from the moments that it had in previous seasons.
100%, yeah.
But this ain't moments anymore. You know what I mean? This is like entire segments and entire minutes of a 24-minute episode that is actually just good.
100%.
So he is, not only is he I feel like he matured.
No.
And just hear me out. I'm
gonna hear you out.
Hear me out. I'm saying I feel like he matured, not in the sense of like saying I want what I want and I'm gonna say what I want. I'm not saying that, because he still does not believe that he can get the girl that he wants, right? And I think that would be the ultimate sign of maturity, of saying, like, actually speaking out for what you exactly want, right? But I think his ability to communicate with her, especially towards the end where he told her that the next time I introduce my family to a girlfriend, it's going to be someone I truly love.
That's what you mean. Okay.
I feel like that was huge growth. And that's not take away from everything that happened before, because we do know, to start off that show, they got sent on a trip to finish the final scene of the movie that he's been on producing for her.
Right.
How'd you feel about his production value?
Nah, it's fine. I want to kind of go back to what you said though, because he still fucking sucks as like everything. Yeah, he's just terrible, and he's terrible in the way of just like, you know how Hachiman, and this kind of cements what I'm about to say in itself. This guy's a college student. Hachiman is a high school student, and the fucking veracity of just the spectrum of differences between the two characters are so few and far between that it's so, it's a chasm, bro. It's just massive. It's massive. It drives me crazy to think that somebody can be this imbecilic. Is that a word? I don't know if it's a word, but it is now.
It is.
You're totally you're fucking it up within yourself, because you're doing all this internal like, oh, she just like over and over and over again. Lasts for too long. All of his internal struggle within himself to either calm down, to not get yes, man. And I hate using that word, but it is the most appropriate word for this guy. And it's cringy, man. It's just like, stop, man. Just stop. Just let stuff happen. If you let stuff happen, everything will probably be so much smoother. But what I did like about this episode the most, and kind of skip over the bullshit. Like the production, cool. Shooting the last part was cool. Her telling her story to him was cool. I didn't think she was going to say that. I thought it was going to be a little bit more than that. Like, for some reason, I don't know why. I just felt like it was going to be.
We wanted more. You're right. We definitely wanted more, but I think that's setting it up different. But go ahead.
Right, but I think the most important thing was her reminding us of the situation that he's in. Was the most important piece of this entire episode. And what I mean by that is her sitting on the bus and talking to him like, you know, how's you and Rukia doing? And he's like, yeah, we're fine. He's like, okay, well, my job hasn't, with her, she's saying my job hasn't changed. I'm still going to help you find a real girlfriend. Like that's been my entire goal, because she's mentioning this because this is the last day of production. So her saying that is basically giving him an in a sense to say, like, while this movie is done, while we're working close together for this movie, I'm still going to follow what I said I was going to help you do. I'm going to keep my word, basically. Right. Which is something that he didn't notice, which is very kind of, is where I'm at with this show. Is like, it's good. It's good that she dropped that, because that's a huge piece of this show in its entirety, is her helping him find a real girlfriend, and then that, like you said, that conversation with him saying, the next time I bring a girl to my parents, it's going to be somebody that I love. I think that also puts something, that puts a hindrance on her now, because guess what? She was somebody that he brought. She was somebody that he brought to his parents. So now she's like, yeah, there's no way he loves me. You know what I'm saying? So this is where this is evolving into an even more struggle of within. I said it about jobless reincarnation too. Misunderstandings, man. It's full of them. It's full of too many.
So, I think that she's also had a decent amount of growth.
100%.
But I say that she also is not necessarily saying what she wants.
What she want?
We really don't even know. We know that she wants the acting thing, right?
Yep.
We know that for sure. But we really don't know how much she feels attraction to him. But she clearly shows attraction to him.
Exactly.
I think her standing on what she said from the beginning, I'm gonna help you find a girlfriend, is the realest thing she can do. Because she got two options at that point, right? Two options. Option one, she gonna help him get with somebody else. Option two, she gonna put herself in position. Now the thing is though, is that I think that now, and this is part of the issue, is that she's garnered and gained respect for him. And I think that actually puts it and makes it a bit harder, right? Because when you respect somebody, you need them to also show you that kind of equivalent respect. Yeah. Because she's like, I see you and I respect what you want. But now he has to reciprocate that and say, I want to be with you. And it's not just because, you're my rental girlfriend. It's not just because of this superficial stuff. I need you to tell me why you want to be with me. Not just because you want to shoot a movie. I need you to actually speak it into existence and tell me what it is so I can know clearly what it is.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have a show.
That's true. But that's why that's what I'm saying. That's why I think they're setting 100%. It up. You know what I mean? They shot the movie. We're going to have a couple of episodes of like bullshit because they're going to be editing the movie. And then when the movie plays, I think that's going to be the revelation somewhere.
I love the mention of Mami-chan too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I love the mention that all of this was kind of just putting in perspective that we still got a lot going on here outside of this whole movie thing. But the movie thing is what literally has been carrying this entire season, because it gave both of our characters the most growth. And it's so sad to see that the growth came from him, not from him focusing on something else, right? Because all it was a bunch of bullshit. It was a bunch of rent. We got to pretend here. We got to pretend here. We got to pretend there. We got to pretend here. And it was getting nowhere. Now that we had this movie thing, because his dream is to make her dream come true, which is a fire goal to have for somebody that you love. Mm-hmm. That is crazy. I also love the fact that they all mentioned her grandfather saying that somebody's going to be that support for you, which is just so cliche and like too on the nose, in my opinion, for a slice of life. Like, it's just way too on the nose, where it just doesn't even make sense. But I still appreciate that she has that thought in her head, like, maybe it's him. Maybe it's him this entire time. So now this is where she starts to feel like she's feeling feelings for him, which is something up until now she just hasn't had.
It's why she couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah. Yep. Which is it's a neat little concept again, but I'm so sick of his cringy behavior that it's hard to get past, man. It's hard to get past because every time I'm watching it, I roll my fucking eyes, man.
But hear me out. That just made me laugh a little bit, right? The fact that she couldn't go to sleep because she was busy thinking about, that. And it's funny because I instantly blamed her when she was like, why am I the one that's having a hard time falling asleep? And I blamed her for the fact that he came in, he see her turn to the side, what would appear to be sleeping. She already set the tone to make him think that she's asleep.
Right.
It's not even like he asked, hey, you awake, good night, anything like that. It ain't like he said anything to be polite. He would have no way of knowing if she's asleep.
Exactly.
But because of perception and his inability to actually use words and talk like a human being, he looks at her and immediately just assumes she's asleep. And I blamed her and I'm like, nah, bro, actually, you could have just said goodnight. And I do it all the time. I say goodnight to people who ain't even around. Right. Like, goodnight, y'all. I know y'all all the way back there, 50 feet to the back, but I'm going to say goodnight just because. But it's like, that's all he got to do is communicate. And he has the hardest time communicating. Right. And I think about his backstory where his family just gave him money and he has a monthly allowance and he works so he can pay for this. It's like he never has to worry about money. He's just going to school for whatever reason. Yeah, you know what I mean?
He's an average Joe for sure.
So it's like he actually is he's actually trash.
He totally is. He's undeserving of any of these girls, to be honest with you.
Fact.
Which makes this show is hard to, and I get why this is. See, this one, on the other hand, if Dreaming Boy is a realist, this one I understand why it's like not that popular. Even though it's a 68, right. 68 is still pretty good. It's basically a 7. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I get it. I get it why I get a lot of hate. Gut check for this, man. What you feeling is gonna happen next week?
I think Mommy Chan gonna show up while he on his date with Ruka.
Oh shit! Is it gonna skip to her birthday?
Yeah, because they did mention it. You're right. Yep. What was it, August 25th or something they said?
Yep.
They're definitely gonna do that. And then Mommy Chan gonna show up. It's good to see you back in class. That's what it's gonna be. He gonna have a class in Mommy Chan. And he's not gonna be able to say no because he don't know how to say no. He don't know how to use his mouth.
Right.
So Mommy Chan gonna be like, can I see you after class today?
Wow, bro.
What you thinking, bro? What you thinking?
I think this is going to be the editing / watch scene.
Really? That's soon?
Yeah, because I think, is this the last season?
I mean, the way it's lining up, it seems like it'll be a final season.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, I totally think it could be because what's this, episode 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why do you think they'll jump to that so soon? You don't think they're gonna give it?
The movie finishing up doesn't mean that it's gonna be the end of the series. It's the movie finishing up and it's gonna lead to the rest of the closing threads, right? You still got Sumi, you still got Rukia, you still got Mommy. You know what I'm saying? There's still so much more in this episode 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 5 more episodes. So it's like, I mean, maybe not. Maybe 2 episodes that'll take. I guess you might be on something there, but I don't know. I just feel like that the movie is going to be a major turning point for this relationship because he's going to spill his heart out again in the most honest way possible, I think. And then it's going to lead to maybe something else. Maybe, you know what it is?
What's that?
I think you're onto something with the Mommy Chan. I think it has to have strong drama now. And Mommy Chan is going to be the source of it because she knows everything. Last week, last season, at the end of that season, she figured out everything. The rental girlfriend, the fake situationship they had going on, the fact that she goes to the school, like she figured all that shit out at the end of season 2.
Good stuff.
Yep.
She know everything about everybody except for the new girl, which is his pupil. Right. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a big head turn for this drama. Do you think she's gonna fuck up the movie thing? No, I don't think she's gonna go that far.
I hope not. I would turn this shit off.
I think Mami-chan, and this is why I think it's gonna take time, because I think the movie has to be the finale. And the only reason I say that is because I think once he truly says what he feels, and then she says what she feels in return, that's really all we needed. That's the end of the show. We don't really need anything else. We don't need to see how
I'd be glad for this to be done after that.
Right.
Not that I hate it, by the way.
Yeah. But I think so. Yeah, Mami-chan is gonna be the strong drama because that's what her character is.
Yeah, sure.
I think he's gonna have a moment with each of the girls, with Sumi, with Ruka, with Mami. He gonna have a moment with all of the girls, and I think that more or less what's gonna happen.
4 episodes,
right? What'll happen after that is gonna be okay. Now let's see the movie, and everybody's gonna be there. And now this is where you seal the deal, because everybody's gonna see what happened. Everybody's gonna see the movie ends with credits. That's gonna be like, with love for Chizuru Ichinose or whatever, and that'll be how it wraps up. Right. Now I'm only saying that, but I do think that basically he just has to have those moments, and that's what's gonna lead us to this. I had my moment with each girl, and I know what I want now. You know, it'll help
like 100%.
Exactly what he needs at the end.
And maybe with that, each girl confesses to him, let them know how they feel about him, like for real. You know, because does Rukia know she's a trial? Like,
yeah, she said something like that, right? Ruka knows that she like a trial girlfriend.
Yeah.
The only one, and Sumi is gonna be the only one that's gonna hurt for me because nice.
Yeah, Sumi's way too nice. All I know is, to be honest, like he sucks. He absolutely sucks. But you know what? Yeah, like the absolute worst. But you know what? I'm at Polow Borfly on all social media.
I'm at King Taliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mic Check Waifu on X and at Mic Check Waifu on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And as always, Mic check.
You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu Waifu. Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you?